Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Justin.
I learned something this week and I don't really know what to do with this. Windsor is London's main rival. I thought it was us. I thought it was the Odd Pod. We were London's main rival. Did you know about this?
Here's the deal. They can say whatever they want. I'm in their heads online.
Yes,
all right?
you are.
London
Yes, you are.
fans know about the Odd Pod because I'm in there with my thumbs every week. Even when we lose, I'm in their heads. Even when we lose, I'm in their heads. So I'm loving it because they're driving engagement for us. They probably appreciate it because I'm assuming there's not a lot to do in London and interact with a Kitchener Rangers podcast because, that's...
Yeah. I mean, you're like the Lachar of internet trolling.
I get in there. If
You do not
I'm in
mess
there,
around.
no, if I'm in there, I have been trolling on the internet for almost 20 years now. So,
You probably got your 10,000 hours of trolling.
Oh, yeah, I am a master of trolling for sure.
Welcome to the Odd Pod, where we're talking Kitchener Rangers hockey with the oddballs themselves, Andrew and Justin. Take it away, fellas.
All right. So we got a bunch of games to recap this week. So we should probably get into that because we got to do 4.
We have to do 4 whole games. Yep.
So, yeah. And they were all away games. All of them.
Very strange.
I didn't
Tough
like
road
this.
trip.
Yeah. I don't like the road trips. I want home games.
And there was no Friday night at the Odd. I
didn't like
crime against humanity.
The first game we're going to talk about, so this was the game that we were recording during last week, the Soo Greyhounds. So we're just going to quickly go over that, even though this was not a quick game.
Not at all. It was the longest game, I think, ever, really. Not in time, but to get deep into rounds of shootouts, per se.
Yes. 15 rounds of shootouts.
To be perfectly clear. Yeah, I'm looking at the box score here right now, and it's absolutely insane how many of them missed and didn't score. So we had Schaubel in net, and not only did he stand tall, but he stopped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 out of 15 shots in the shootout. Nolan Lalonde stopped only one less and had to lose and had to go away with a loss. Jason Schaubel had a bit of a shaky first period, but then bounced back and quite literally, stole the game there in the sense of, to stop 13 out of 15 in the shootout. That's, I don't know too many goalies who can do that.
Well, we've talked about this a few times. The Rangers have the most shootout experience in the OHL right now because they went 9 straight in the preseason with shootouts, and Schaubel played a bunch of those games.
It was 6.
It was crazy. And we've had quite a few shootouts in the season.
I know. And now it's coming back.
Yeah, it was good. I'm glad that we could do that. Thank you to the Rangers for getting that practice in. Because when do you ever have time to practice shootouts?
I know. It's every day shootouts,
This was another game where the Rangers, it felt like they came out strong in this game at the beginning. And the Sioux just capitalized early. Like the Rangers weren't able to get one in early, and the Sioux did. Reid had one of the craziest tips of the year off a Swick pass for a goal. And Lachar got a sneaky one. Pridham and Humphreys, they were all over
had
the
a
place.
Nice tip as well. Yeah, it was a exciting game, which it seems like it's always kind of exciting with the Sioux. The talent level of the high-end Rangers, I think, kind of overwhelmed them in that third period and towards the end of the second period, because they actually scored with 29 seconds left in the second. So yeah, towards the end of the game, I felt like the talent level of the Rangers started to outshine. They took a lot more shots throughout the game. They dominated overtime. They had a couple opportunities in overtime.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts. I mean, I think I was reading on the stats sheet that Pridham and Humphreys together had 12 shots and 9 high danger scoring chances. And I think a number of those came in the third and OT. I think Pridham got probably the most opportunities in OT to end it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't normally want to highlight the scraps or anything like that, but there was a fight in this game, and there was an instigator awarded to a Sioux player. And let me tell you, he won't forget the lesson he learned. Andrew McNeil I mean, he's an overager, but whatever. And Andrew McNeil is not an overager, but Andrew McNeil is not a 19-year-old. And basically fed him his lunch, just straight lefts. I couldn't believe it, man. I'm sitting there watching it, and then they give the kid an instigator, and I'm like, oh no, you can't do that. You can't do that, man. That's not fair. That's insult to injury. And the Rangers were benefiting from that, and I was still like, maybe you don't need to give them the extra 2 minutes this time.
Yeah, you can just forget that one.
I'm glad they don't show highlights and stuff like that. I understand why they don't. The crowd did not love this one. That's all I'm saying.
No.
Very politely. I just haven't seen one like that in a long time. Andrew McNeil won a academic player of the month
he's very smart.
Very smart guy. And I gotta say, the kid he fought, it smarts. Let's put it that way. He's
both mightier with the pen and the sword.
Yes. Not to be trifled with, Andrew McNeil.
All right. So then after the Sioux game, we headed to Flint. Flint.
Oh,
yeah. I just got to say the Firebirds. I gotta say the Flint camera angles crack me up because they're so low, and like literally every time somebody on the side that the cameras are on has to go to the bathroom in the middle of the period, it like blocks the entire play.
It's unbelievably funny. It's definitely a charm of junior hockey. Is some of the broadcast quality, not necessarily in the personnel. I appreciate a lot of people are volunteering their time. However, the technical aspects of trying to stream a certain quality of hockey in these older arenas that weren't ever designed with the idea that this was going to be filmed to this degree. So it is kind of funny. And I mean, you can't say too much because there are awful, awful angles in the NHL as well.
Oh, for sure. This one is just particularly funny because it's obviously not that big of a building and the angle is just so low that they can't, you got to go get some popcorn. Everyone on the broadcast knows.
Which is a good segue. I hope you brought your popcorn because this was a goalie battle. This was a duel.
Oh, man.
This is two very skilled goalies, Nathan Day for Flint, and of course our guy, the odd pod guy, Jackson Parsons, dueled each other. The shots were 34-34, and it was obviously another shootout. Man. This one didn't go. This one went the minimum.
Yes.
This one was only a 3-rounder.
By the time they got that way. The Rangers scored they scored 2 goals in the first 5 minutes of this game and then didn't score until the shootout. They were just ready to score again.
It wasn't for lack of trying. No. They did get outplayed in the third, I felt, and they struggled to get the puck on the net in overtime. But they outplayed Flint for the majority of the game, at least the first 2 periods, pretty handily. That said, Flint did score in the second. So it wasn't so much deflating because they obviously won the game, but there was a little bit of a lull in the third for sure.
Yeah. Except for Cameron Reid. That was what I noticed. So it was like the first period was the Rangers. They got their 2 goals quick. I was like, this game done and dusted. We'll see you tomorrow. Absolutely. Then that wasn't the case at all. And then, second period was like, okay, they are due for a goal. Specifically, Cameron Reid was due for a goal. That man, he put on so many good shots on the net and just missed by a little bit, or Nathan Day was playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you just need one.
Yeah, Cameron Reid is playing at an incredibly high level. He scored, obviously, in that Sioux game. He could have had 2 in the Flint game. We're going to talk about him again in the next game because he scores there as well. He's a very different player than Hunter Brustevich. The impact that Cameron Reid is having on the game is definitely the same echelon. He is just an elite player. It feels like he's being slept on a little bit draft ranking wise. I think he's high on some guys' boards, and on some boards he's not even really being talked about. I think if it's the eye test for me, right? Because we don't really have any advanced analytics for the OHL, and at least that we're available to us. Honestly, there's an argument to be made that we don't have great defensive analytics, period, in hockey. They're perfunctory. We can draw conclusions from the data, and he's playing big minutes. I see him probably as one of the most talented offensive players on the team in the league.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe second to the defenseman in the Saginaw game.
Well,
but he's
yeah.
playing pretty high up.
He's a bit younger too. So
Yeah.
one's already been drafted, one's in the draft year. So there, that's a big step that 1 year, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Back to the game, 3-2. The Rangers won. Back-to-back shootout wins. Things are going good. We're feeling good about it. Parsons got a shootout win. And then we're going to Saginaw.
Yeah, Saginaw. I was looking up what had happened with Saginaw lately. They lost the night before 9-5.
Always
boy.
bad.
Yeah.
Anytime as an Oilers fan, and I'm sure you as a Flames fan, what I always hope for if we're hosting a team on the second half of back-to-backs is that they won the night before. You always hope that your opponent is coming off a win.
Yep. And that's what Saginaw got.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was a 5-4 win for Saginaw. It was an absurd game as far as scoring is concerned.
Totally.
Because in the first period, literally less than 12 minutes into the game, it was 3-0 Saginaw. And then the Rangers got one 30 seconds later to keep themselves in it. Trent Swick, who we haven't talked about, and we're going to have to talk about later because Trent Swick had an absolute killer week. He factored in all the games. He was a major contributor in all the games. He scored. He kept them in it. And he actually scored twice in this game. So he didn't get the second goal, but he had the third goal. Vermeulen from Grzolia and Bilecki, which is the depth scoring that we talked about last episode, got them on the board early second period, which was...
That Vermeulen goal is the craziest goal I've ever seen.
Unbelievable.
Bounced off 2 defensemen into the net.
Unbelievable. What? That's the crazy thing is when you see a goal like that and you're down 3-0 early and now it's 3-1 and now it's 3-2 on a goal like that, you start to think, okay, we're going to win this game because that's the puck luck you need to overcome a 3-0 deficit in the first period, right? They didn't get that kind of puck luck and they outplayed Brampton in that game where they were down 4-0, but they had no puck luck later on in the game. And bottom line is you can't overcome that kind of deficit unless you get a bounce here or there.
Yeah. It kind of felt like Swick got a bit of puck luck on his goal, the first goal too, because Oak kind of overextended and lost his footing on his bar and just sort of like swept into the net with the puck. And not that it wasn't deserved. Swick has been playing like crazy, but it was like one of those ones where it was like, thank God we got one just to sort of like swing the momentum. And it really did starting in the second.
Definitely. And then obviously before the second was over, Swick scores again. And then Cameron Reid gets a goal that we talked about in the last game. He finally gets that goal that was overdue. He scored on the power play. Now, the significant thing about this is Christian Humphreys set up 3 of the 4 goals.
Yes.
He had 2 primary assists and a secondary assist. And on the power play, that secondary assist was a nice pass to Pridham. So it's not necessarily look down your nose at a secondary assist on a power play. But Christian Humphreys hasn't missed a beat. I mean, so now they're up 4-3 in this game. I'm thinking, oh man, this is like that game back that I was at when the Andalorian was born. And basically it was all of a sudden it was like 4-1 and the wheels fell off Saginaw. So I figured, okay, we got these guys. We're in their heads. They've fallen behind. Now we just got to keep the pressure up.
We had lots of opportunities in the third. Oak was good. He played well. Parsons played well. I actually never felt like either team fell off. I just felt like, Saginaw I was surprised that they got 2 goals, but they got 2 goals. And to me, it was like nobody lost this game, really. Like they both fought to the end.
Yeah. And I feel like they ran out of gas in the sense of they didn't stop trying. I just felt like if they weren't on a third game of a 4-game road trip, maybe that 4-3 when you go up, then the avalanche happens and you just keep popping them in. If it's Friday night at the odd and you score 4 straight, I kind of feel like, it feels like maybe the avalanche happens, but that's, it's hard. You're in their building and they get the next one. And usually when it's halfway through the third and you're up 4-3 and the trailing team gets the next one, a lot of the times they get the winner as well. So that's kind of the way hockey is.
Yeah, it's true. Prick. He's so good. It's crazy.
A goal and 3 assists in this game. Very talented.
Wait to see him in the NHL.
Yeah, and he feels quite responsible as well. He's not really asked to do a lot of that in Saginaw. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays in a system that preaches responsible defensive play.
Yep. And then we see our old friends, a Tuesday night game against London.
We're their side piece, apparently. I guess. I mean, because they're both over there, away from everything good and close to everything bad.
They got no one else. Well, Saginaw's there too. They're all kind of over there.
I mean, read between the lines.
They were like,
bad.
Do you want to be partners with Saginaw, Sarnia, or Windsor? Windsor, please.
No, they're right along the border there, I guess, So I'm just throwing shade there. I mean, obviously, I don't want to throw too much shade, but if we
did lose 5-3, so there's only so much shade we can throw.
Yes, it's true. Unfortunately, they were heavily outshot in the first period. That didn't result in anything more than a 1-0 lead. However, the second period, there was hope. Like, it wasn't necessarily like you were outclassed or you played poorly or anything. It was just that London is a powerhouse team. They're trying to win it all going into the season. They were a favorite to win it all. We were a rebuilding team. We're, exceeding all expectation, and London is meeting expectation.
Yep.
Literally what it is. Do I think they can beat London? Yes, they have beat London. Do I think they've played their best games against London? Yes and no. They've played some good games against London. They've played some poor games against London. The bottom line is you can't go 0 for 3 on the power play against London, but the positive was they were 5 for 5 on the PK against London.
They were.
So,
and I think that's 14 straight penalty kills against London as well.
And honestly, London gets the first goal, then the second period starts, and the Rangers get the next 2 goals, and then London gets the first goal in the first period, then Kitchener gets the next 2 goals in the second period, and then before the period's over, London ties it up. The third starts, and Carson Campbell scores one, which was great to see, because I love when Soo scores. It's the best. And you think, oh man, we're ahead again. Did it ever really feel like they were really controlling the game?
No.
And then what ends up happening in the third is they pour it on late thing, because I feel like London does this shutdown thing, and they succeed when they have the lead. When London's chasing, it's a much more even game. But when London gets that goal 5 minutes later in the third, and then the go-ahead goal 4 minutes later, 3.5 minutes after that, which Easton Cowan extended the points. The bottom line is I felt like with 9 minutes left, the Rangers were going to throw the kitchen sink at Medvedev, but they just do this shutdown thing. It's almost like they trap. I know they're not trapping, but it's almost like they trap. They just don't let anything through.
Can't get a pass through, like it's sticks blocking everything.
And then that's it. I mean, that's what London does. They pull you down and they choke you out, and that's how they play. And they're very good.
Romano got 1 goal from the second best pass from the ass of the season.
Yes. Tanner Lamb.
And it was a sneaky short side, like that really high shoulder goal. It was great. And
absolutely.
Tanner Lamb made that happen. Good on you, man.
Bottom line is I feel like we're way ahead of schedule. London is on track. London just got beat by Windsor. And I feel like, we've got a good chance to outlast these teams. I mean, Jackson Parsons has been playing really well, but could he go toe to toe with London or Windsor in a 7-game series and kind of shock the world, even though we're right there with these guys? I think so. Absolutely. So you're going to have to lean on him in a playoff series and hope that you're disciplined and that your power play gets hot. I think if their power play gets hot, they're disciplined, and Jackson Parson continues to play out of his mind, they can beat these teams. They can go they can go all the way.
And in a 7-game series, they're going to find their breakouts for sure.
Absolutely. And it's all going to come down to special teams, because
special teams and depth.
And then we know the depth is there, and we know the depth scores, but that power play is so streaky. It's so streaky that it's some nights it looks great, and some nights it's like, okay, what are we doing? Now, I also will argue that I think they should get a few more opportunities and it seems like from one night to the next, the Sioux game, there were 11 power plays and there were 4 power play goals, 2 for each team. And then you look at the Flint game and there was 2 power plays each and nobody scored. So you're telling me really at this stage of the game that it's that disciplined of hockey, that there's that big of a gap night to night? No, it's how they're calling it.
All right. So technically had a losing weekend, so we got to do the good, the bad, and the ugly. Andrew,
It's true.
What's your good?
My good is Trent Swick. I felt like he was kind of the through line. I felt like he had understated but very strong performances in both the wins and the losses. I think that if Trent Swick is starting to score more often, if he's starting to score 2 points, 1.5 points a game, starts to average it out now, and he's scoring 1 goal here and he's scoring 2 assists here, whatever. And if he's just consistently on the score sheet with everyone else contributing, then I think the Rangers will win a lot more often than not. Not that he doesn't usually, he usually does, but it just, to me, when Trent Swick is having a Trent Swick game, the Rangers win.
My good is a build on that. It's the Swick, Pridham, and Humphreys line together.
Yes,
has been pretty phenomenal. They're like the definition of gel. Humphreys' no-look pass to Swick against Flint was a thing of beauty. Swick scored. They scored 4 goals and they had 10 assists between the 3 of them in the 4 games. They had 3 shootout goals, but I know it's individual effort, but each, that's what they had. They put up 14 points in 4 games, those 3 guys.
Yeah. Honorable mention to Jason Schaubel for the shootout.
For sure.
The 15 rounds. The only reason I didn't was because he wasn't his best game, but the only reason I didn't give him my good this week was just that it wasn't a great beginning to that game. However he finished. An honorable mention.
Yeah. All right. What's your bad?
My bad is that I feel like there's a mental block with London.
Right.
I don't think that it's necessarily a talent thing, which don't get me wrong. They're very talented. They're full of Nepo babies. There's whispers that they pay their players. The bottom line is I do feel like London is kind of the big bad wolf in this. And it feels, and this is just, I'm just talking about the hockey team and the franchise, which has done a really good job of creating this culture around itself and creating this like Yankees of the New York Yankees of the OHL. So I think it's bad that I feel that way after really only following the team in depth for 1 season, because I'm already feeling this and I'm already kind of like eye rolling. However, I do love trolling the London fans.
Yeah,
so I do live for that. But
it's a good and a bad.
It's a good and a bad, but it's mostly bad. I don't like that feeling. I don't like feeling, dare I say, like little brother in any situation.
No.
So I feel bad about the London Knights games.
Yeah. My bad this week is our first periods. Last week, all we talked about was our first periods. We came out super hot and then we basically coasted the rest of the game. This week, it was like we didn't show up for the first periods. We showed up for the seconds, but by then we were already behind. And that happened in 3 games. And so some of those we could overcome and some games we didn't. So that's my bad.
Yes.
What's your ugly?
Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword here with London, because ugly is their color scheme.
They got a little bit of a Subway sandwich situation going on.
They really do. Okay, I'm kidding. That's not my ugly. However, I think it applies. I think it does apply. Basically, and I don't want... It's hard because, like I said, it was a 4 games on the road in a row, but I felt like the shot output compared to like everything, the shot output, the possession numbers in both the 8 in the first against London, 8 in the second period against London, 6 in the first against Saginaw, 8 in the third against Saginaw, is very indicative of how often you had the puck, and realistically, that's when those games were they could have changed the outcome of those games in those periods. Had they scored one, had they had more pressure, had they literally just not given up goals in those periods where they didn't have the puck a lot. That's my ugly.
My ugly is that we didn't get a home broadcast this week. I missed our guys.
I did
I
too.
missed that. I
Definitely.
missed our camera angles. I missed our
Missed
our
the
broadcast
odd.
theme. I
Yeah.
missed the odd. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is the first episode where we talked about only games on the road. I think every other week we've talked about home games.
I think you're right.
Even if there's only one home game, I just need that Friday night game.
I agree.
But
it grounds me.
Speaking of Friday night games, we have one coming this Friday night.
Yes, we do.
It's got the odd, and we're playing Owen Sound.
Oh, yeah.
I hope so. We beat them 2 weeks ago, 5-1. We're 3-0-1 against them this season. We got 2 more games against them. We play a lot of games against Owen Sound
In our division.
And Carter George always shows up for these games, so it's always fun to watch.
Great goalie. It's a great matchup because they're not in the place that we're in right now, but they bring it. So
they do bring it. I would say that those 4 games that we played against them have all been quite memorable. I look forward to it. To Niagara to play the Ice Dogs for the second time. And we're playing against he is him, but he is not him, because Ryan Robrek is really the he is him of the Niagara Ice Dogs these days. So he's taken over all the stat lines from Kevin He. So
they've got he and him now.
And now him.
Yeah.
He
and Ryan. Ryan is him.
Ryan is he.
Who's on first?
Yeah. I'm lost. And
yeah.
And then we play another Tuesday night game. We're home at the odd, and we're playing the Oshawa Generals.
Oh, that's going to be a great game. That is a great timing, because I think, you got to try and take both Owen Sound and Niagara on the road. You got to try and you got to at least get 3 points. You got to try and beat Owen Sound. And, if you lose a shootout or a close one or whatever to Niagara's a talented squad, but you want to try and win both of them, obviously. But Oshawa that is going to be a test. That is going to be a game to watch.
Yeah, we haven't seen, because the Rangers have not played that many Eastern teams yet. We don't really know how the East stacks up to the Rangers.
And the East is there's going to be an Eastern road trip coming up after that.
Yes.
When we'll preview that next episode.
Yeah. So we're going to get, like we talked about this last week, we play the East for most of our games in the rest of the season. So it'll be interesting to see. Oshawa's going to be great. Beckett, Seneca, and Colby Barlow, they like to score goals. Hopefully I didn't just curse the team.
Very good. I mean, maybe you cursed them.
Yeah.
Colby, 35-year-old facial hair.
He just looks like he owns a cannabis shop in downtown Ottawa.
Like he could be on the Odd Pod. Yeah.
One of the Dodds on the Dodd Pod.
Great hockey player.
And now it is time for the greatest Ranger of all time.
I'd yell, but my baby's sleeping.
Oh, yeah. The G.R.O.A.T.
The G.R.O.A.T.
It was a baby G.R.O.A.T.
We're G.R.O.A.T. ASMR G.R.O.A.T.
Because we haven't said it in a long time. The G.R.O.A.T. is the greatest Ranger of all time. Andrew and I are nominated.
You just said it.
I know, but I haven't.
We have every episode you say the greatest Ranger of all time.
I know, but we have the YouTube now. People don't know what the G.R.O.A.T. is.
We have to say it every episode.
But I know.
You did say it.
I'm just trying to explain what we're doing. Let me explain it.
Quiet. Your baby's sleeping.
No, she's not. She never sleeps.
Oh, bro.
Yeah. She's awake and screams at me all the time. So now this is my time to take out my screams.
You're already vindictive with this human being.
Okay, so the G.R.O.A.T. is Andrew and I are nominating different players from the Rangers' vast history of terrific players that have played for the Rangers over the last 60 years that they have been around. The Rangers have won the Memorial Cup twice. We are picking any and all players, even from before the origination. Origination? Is that a word?
No, but it could be.
Cool.
You sit with such confidence.
The origination of the OHL, when it was the OHA.
Yeah, the Ontario Major Junior.
Yeah. So there's been lots of iterations, and the Rangers have been here for all of it. 1963. Yeah. So
and before
60. Yeah, we are picking players. We are nominating them. What we're going to do with those is there may or may not be a fantasy draft coming. And then we're also going to do a bracket challenge, probably on Instagram and or YouTube. I don't know how to do that, but I think you can do polls on YouTube. So we're going to do a bracket challenge. We're going to get all of you involved.
Yes.
Who is your G.R.O.A.T. nomination this week?
Well, let me tell you about this fine young man. And I say that because he's younger than me, and he's still playing in the NHL. This guy was born May 16th, 1992 in Markham, Ontario. He's the second youngest of 5 children. His brother Ben was also in the Kitchener Rangers system. All right.
Ooh,
I thought that was pretty cool.
that is pretty cool.
He was involved in both ice hockey and figure skating growing up, and won a bronze medal in the juvenile division at the 2004 Canadian Junior National Figure Skating Championships. He is known far and wide for having a great attitude, being a powerful skater, and having an elite release on his shot. Also interesting was that he actually played midget hockey on the wing of future Colorado Avalanche captain Gabriel Landeskog.
Another G.R.O.A.T.
Another G.R.O.A.T, yes. He also, much like Gabriel Landeskog, won the Calder Trophy as the NHL's top rookie in his first season. He was drafted 20th overall in the 2008 Ontario Hockey League draft by our Kitchener Rangers. He made his OHL debut on September 18th, and he scored right away 2 goals and an assist, 4-2 over the now defunct Plymouth Whalers. He was selected to compete with Team Canada as part of the Under-17 Hockey Challenge and won the gold medal with the golden goal, the game-winning goal. He also won Rangers Academic Player of the Month award, where he went to Eastwood Collegiate Institute. This is a smart guy. Everybody loves this kid. He led the Rangers in scoring through his rookie campaign and participated in the Ivan Halinka Memorial Tournament, playing for Team Canada, won another gold, scored 6 goals in the tournament, came back, immediately became assistant captain. As a 17-year-old, he scored 50 goals in the regular season and led all CHL draft-eligible forwards in scoring. He became the first Ranger in 23 years to reach the 50-goal milestone. Despite this, he actually wasn't ranked very high by Central Scouting, 47th. That was midseason, and 34th the final rankings, all right? What's insane about this guy's junior career is he scored 97 goals in 2 seasons. 50 in his sophomore year in 64 games, and then in the playoffs in 09-010, he had 20 goals in 20 games. He had 33 points in that playoff run. So just to say, like, he's also doing this as one of the youngest draft eligible players in the OHL because he's a May baby, right? So he's right there. Didn't matter. He's drafted 7th overall by Carolina in 2010. All right. Hurricanes director of amateur scouting said there's nobody in the draft that can score goals like this guy. And he was right. He scored 31 goals in his first season with Carolina and won the Calder. He was named to the 2011 All-Star game as an injury replacement for Sidney Crosby. He's the first 18-year-old All-Star since Steve Yzerman.
Whoa.
He beat out Logan Couture for the Calder Memorial, and he was, at the time, the NHL's youngest player, and I think this is held up until 2024. This year it might change, as the youngest player to win the Calder. And he is the first Hurricanes player, and I think the only Hurricanes player to win the Calder. He also was the youngest player in the 2011 World Championships of hockey. He has scored, not including this year, he's scored 357 goals in just over 1,000 games. He had a 40-goal season for Buffalo in 2018-2019. He is small but mighty. He is not getting a fair shot with the Edmonton Oilers. He is being forced to play 4th-line minutes. I have a major issue with the person in charge who's making those decisions. Doesn't matter, because I think this kid should be on Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl's wing because he can score with the best of them. It's Jeff Skinner.
Jeff Skinner. Yep. This was a player that we needed to get on this list.
Absolutely.
He was pretty remarkable.
Truly.
97 goals in 2 seasons.
Like
insane.
Like, yeah. And not only that, like he wasn't 18. He wasn't 19.
No.
He was 16 and 17 doing that.
Yeah, it was his first years, and then he went away very early.
And he went away and he immediately won the Calder in Carolina. And now has always been able to score.
Yeah, that is so true.
The crazy thing is he's never played in the playoffs. So that'll change this year unless they trade him. All right. On to you.
All right. My G.R.O.A.T. Born in Aurora, Ontario. He began his junior hockey career with the London Knights in 1886. 1986.
Taking back the days of yore.
I told you the Rangers have been around forever. But it started in 1986, but it was a mid-season trade to the Kitchener Rangers in 87-88, where he truly found his stride. From that moment, he was unstoppable. His Kitchener Rangers stats, 87-88. He played 30 games with the Rangers. He scored 10 goals and 25 assists for 35 points as a 17-year-old. 88-89, he scored 76 points with 25 goals. And then in 89-90, he scored 90 points with 28 goals and 62 assists. But his regular season stats were stellar, but it was his playoff heroics that cemented his legacy. In the 1990 playoffs, he set a franchise record that still stands today, amassing 37 points and 16 goals and 21 assists for the most ever points by a Ranger in a single playoff run. It was his ability to rise to the occasion that made him the heartbeat of the team. He was then drafted 17th overall by the Boston Bruins in 1989. He played 27 NHL games with the Bruins and the Tampa Bay Lightning. His NHL stint was short, but his junior hockey impact was unmatched. This week, my G.R.O.A.T. nomination is Shane Stevenson.
Nice. Shane Stevenson, yes. One of the best, the highest scoring playoff run of all.
So we only have 3 more G.R.O.A.Ts that we are going to add. This was the 29th G.R.O.A.T. that we added.
The end of an era.
We're going to 32 before we do the bracket challenge.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's almost over.
Yes.
Well, the nominations.
Nominations is almost over. All right. So we got some thank yous this week.
We do.
Ken Bourne for all the branding. He's been hooking up our YouTube channel with all the things.
It looks so clean. The new graphic is really nice. Thank you, Papa Bourne.
Yes, thank you. Of course, we have to thank our prodigal producer, Liam.
The phenom.
And then you can find us on the social medias. How can you do that, Andrew?
You can find us at The Odd Podcast on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube. We're something different at The Odd Podcast - Kitchener Rangers, I think we are. You should be able to find us through YouTube's strange search engine. You can also send us an email at theoddpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to try and get a last second G.R.O.A.T. in there, we're not totally completely decided on the last 2 out of 3. So shoot us a line.
Yeah, let us know. It would be greatly beneficial if you could like and subscribe and interact with us on all the places. The London folks love to interact with us. We'd love some more Rangers people interacting.
That's true. We attract a lot of London fans who don't have much to do.
Yes, or good things to say.
That's true, but I have years of experience. I'll drag you down to my level, beat you with that experience.
And as always, you can find us at
the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium.
See you at the Odd.